Happy Sunday. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. Hope you're doing well. I have the review of The Last Town by Blake Crouch, not 8 Crouch. Blake Crouch. This is book number 3 in the Wayward Pines trilogy. This is the conclusion of the trilogy, and it was an interesting read. This was published in 2014. It's in the sci-fi fiction thriller genre. Kind of an overview is we have a continuation of where we left off in book 2, immediately picking up where book 2 left off. Will the Abbeys, these aberrations, will they take over Wayward Pines? We have the fence down. Pilcher, in a desperation, madness, turns the fence off, and the next thing Ethan is second guessing his decision that he made in book 2 of letting the town know the truth and kind of free their minds, kind of a Matrix type thing. Pilcher has his God complex. He's very vengeful of the fact that people are willing to risk all he sacrificed to make this town and to continue the human species. And his God complex really comes to zenith in this entry. How dare the people of Wayward Pines turn against him? The town folk, they really kind of, need to band together in this story more than ever if they're going to survive. And it becomes a question of not only survival the night, the day, it becomes how long they can survive as the remainder of the human race. And so that's the overview of this story. Obviously, there's other plot threads that are intertwined or things that have been building up, whether it's the dynamic of Teresa and the unknown of Ethan with his old boss Adam Hasler, and then there's the dynamic with Kate and Harold, and then there's the dynamic of these people called the Wanderers and the resistance within Wayward Pines to Pilcher and his group of disciples and lackeys up in the mountain under their safe security facility. And so there's a lot that needs to happen in this book, and the book delivers for the most part on a lot of those plot threads. So what I really liked about the story, obviously the beginning, I really liked Pilcher. I kind of knew this was going where it was going. Obviously, I've read this before, but even so, if you read this the first time, you kind of know where this is heading. Again, this particular entry this book 3 is different than the other 2 books too. As book 1, you're kind of thrown in, and Ethan's trying to figure out what's going on. In book 2, you're starting to get some backstory about some of the key characters. Here, you're jumping from POV to POV quite a lot, and then you also are jumping timelines way back when Pilcher was getting everything ready to, cryo freeze people into this. And so you get a lot of jumping around here, and from point of view to point of view, from Teresa to Kate to Hasler to Pilcher to some of the workers in the complex to Ethan, and it's all over the place. And so it's done kind of uniquely in that way, that writing style, and I enjoyed it. It definitely keeps it fresh and fast-paced. I really enjoyed the marriage dynamic of Ethan and Teresa and how that's in question. Ethan had his issues with Teresa, and then Kate, his former partner, and then Teresa had, before Ethan came to the town and was animated, so to speak, she had a relationship with Adam Hasler. And so that all kind of quagmire of a dynamic relationship and a marriage relationship all kind of comes to a head. And so that was interesting. I think once the Abbeys, the aberrations, gain access in the town, it becomes very chaotic as well. So the book really starts off with a bang, so to speak, when you're getting different points of view. I'm really interested in Dr. Logan's aspect of this from Novel Insights if he ends up reading this, because when the aberrations make their way into town, and this isn't really spoiling anything, but when they do, Crouch does a really good job of sharing the different dynamics of the people's thought process. Some people are in denial, like this isn't happening, because you have a group that's wanting to go to this one place that they kind of came about, these wonders that kind of they go and they de-stress and they kind of have their meeting. They talk about their previous lives and what they miss and kind of have a way to vent and everything else. So a lot of the groups like, we got to go there and get away from the town. It's overrun. And you have some people in the town, they're like, no, I'm staying. And this is all just, this isn't real. I don't believe what Ethan, told us at the end of book 2, and letting the cat out of the bag about what's taking place. They're the last of humanity. You can't go beyond the fence because you'll die, and all that jazz. So some people are really not going to take that at face value. They're in denial. Then you have some people that are fighting back, and they're all for, we got to make it through. We got to fight. We got to survive, that kind of thing. And then you have some that are just kind of like, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So there's a lot of different human psyche elements, emotions, there's thought process, and how they're dealing with this impending doom, this impending conflict. And I'm interested, I know Dr. Logan, he has a background in this, so I'm interested in his take if he would read this. Even though it's fiction, I think Crouch does a pretty good job of not getting too heavily into some of the stuff like that obviously Dr. Logan went through in his career, his career, but he gets into it enough to where it's very interesting. Some other things I liked, I liked the ending, and I didn't like the ending. I liked the ending for the fact that I think Crouch wrote it in a way that it leaves it open to, if someday down the road as a writer he wants to, hey, I wonder if I could do maybe an additional story about Wayward Pines. I think it's there. What I disliked about the book is I disliked the ending in the sense that it felt rushed. And it felt rushed in the sense that I felt like the book needed like 50 more pages to really write the ending a little better. And because we've put the time in with these 2 books, it just felt rushed to me. I thought the dynamic with Kate and Adam Hassler, and if you read the story, you'll understand what I'm meaning. Towards the end, there's all this tension around that dynamic in the relationship and the quagmire of that marriage of Teresa and Ethan and Hassler and Kate and all that jazz, and how it all came to a confrontation or a conflict from different perspectives. It just seemed like that one was kind of just, it wasn't really wrapped up well, or it wasn't done to the sense of my liking. Let's just say that. I think that it was just kind of, it is what it is. I mean, it's there. There is some kind of effort to make that done, but it's just not, it was written kind of offhandedly. So, in terms of excerpts, I don't really have a specific one, but I will say the part where Ethan delivers a message towards the end of this book to the people of Wayward Pines, and what the future may hold. I thought that was really well written. I thought that was really cool. So if you read this book, you'll know what I'm saying. In terms of rating, I give this a 4.3. Definitely, my book 1 was my favorite of the entries because I just think it's such a great opening book. This one's a little better than book 2 in my opinion, obviously, because we're getting the final conflict, where things may head type thing, but it's only slightly better than book 2. So that's kind of my order. Book 1's the top, book 3 is second, and book 2 is my least favorite. All of them are above a 4, so I enjoyed this. This is a great trilogy. I'm glad I reread it. Definitely glad that I knocked it out. And like most of these fast-paced trilogies, I knocked the book 2 and book 3 out this week, so that felt good as well. So hope you're having a great Sunday. Later this evening, I will have my weekly wrap-up. I will link up here will be my review for book 2 if you want to check that out. And I hope you're having a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.